Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's webinar on automation with Selenium.
Okay, so first of all, what is automation testing? So, as in the case of manual testing, where you have to sit in front of your system and test step by step each scenario, automation is on the contrary side, wherein you don't really have to be there while executing the test. It will be a software or piece of software that will be running your test for you, analyzing the results and generating test reports for you, which means very little to no physical intervention will be required. I mean, you only have to intervene when you need to trigger the test. Actually, the thing is, even that can be automated with the help of CI/CD tools. For example, Jenkins. I mean, this can save a lot of time, right? I mean, imagine a scenario, it's Friday evening, 6 o'clock, and developers just deployed some very important update, and you just have an hour to check and verify and ensure that the app is running fine. And you have like in hand 500 to 600 test cases to test. I mean, of course, you can put all your human resources into it, distribute the test, work a little extra, and get the work done. But this is not the best option, and this is not what you want to do every time. With automation, you can do these things with a single click. And when you know that you have all the tests automated, you can run this test anytime, any number of times. So we'll get into the tool for which we are here today. Like, what is Selenium and why do we need it? Okay. So basically, Selenium is an open source web automation tool, which means it's only for the web and not for any other application like desktop or mobile applications. By open source, you can just, I mean that you can just download the Selenium jars from their official website and you can start working on it. It's not a paid tool, so you don't really have to pay for anything. So it also enables its testers to automate interactions with web application, mimicking user actions. So this means like think of all the actions you can do on a web page when you visit it. Like you can be clicking on some buttons or entering some data into text fields or forms, etc. Selenium can help you automate all this and much more actually. Besides that, Selenium supports all the major browsers that you can think of. Okay, so you can ha have in Selenium across all the major browsers available. Okay, so the code remains the same for all the browsers. You don't have to write separate code to run on different browsers. Okay, so that means the code which you have written for Chrome is also going to work for Firefox and Edge. Okay, besides that, Selenium, another great advantage that it offers is that Selenium also works across the platforms, like it works on Windows as well as on your Mac operating systems or Linux as well. Selenium also provides facility to code in multiple languages like Java, Python, JavaScript. Okay, but the hottest combination in the market, I would say, is Selenium with Java. So for all these reasons, Selenium basically becomes the most popular in the industry and is like widely adopted across industries. Okay, so now we'll briefly look into its architecture. Okay, so when we look at it, when we discuss about Selenium, people usually think Selenium is like one single tool. But it's not. Selenium is actually a suite of tools, and these tools include Selenium IDE. When we talk about Selenium IDE, it's basically just a browser extension that provides record and playback functionality for creating the test. It allows its users to record interactions with the web application and generate test scripts in various programming languages. Basically, this is used for quick prototyping and generating initial test script. But for more advanced and robust automation, Selenium WebDriver is what we use. Okay, you also see something called Selenium RC over here. It's actually an initial version of Selenium, which is no longer continuing. It's been deprecated. It has its own limitation. That's why they came up with Selenium WebDriver. Okay, so they combined the functionality of Selenium RC with WebDriver and they created Selenium 2. So all the versions that you see onward Selenium 2 have the capability of both actually. And Selenium grid is basically another component which helps in parallel test execution across multiple browsers and platforms. Basically, when we talk about this grid, it has a hub and multiple nodes. Like hub acts as a center server and receives test requests and then distributes to the various nodes as per the availability. So this is what it looks like. Actually, there are three parties involved over here. First one will be the Selenium client library. So client, when we talk about this client library, this is basically the code, okay, on your ID, which you are running or which you are writing. To the extreme right, which you see browsers, are the actual browsers on which your test is running, be it Chrome or Firefox or Edge. And these two do not talk directly. So they have an intermediary in between. We call them as browser drivers. Through this, they interact, okay. So what happens is that after you trigger a test on your client, that complete Selenium code which we have written is converted to JSON. Then that JSON is sent to the browser driver through the HTTP protocol. Now, thing to be noted is that each browser will contain its separate browser driver. Like Chrome will have its own driver, Edge will have its own driver. Okay, so this browser driver then communicates with its respective browser and executes the command by interpreting the JSON which is received from the client. Okay, then the browser driver receives response back from the browser and it sends it back to the client. Okay. So in this slide, I'll just try to cover up roughly like how to set it up. Okay, so the first thing that you will need is an IDE to write your code. Okay, so it can be anything. It can be your Eclipse or it could be IntelliJ. It completely depends upon your preference. Okay, so you can download it from their official website. The second thing and the most important thing that you are going to need is Java, because Selenium bindings are usually available in Java. Okay, so you need to install Java and have it configured. So you need to get into your environment variables and set a Java home, okay, and provide the path to that Java installation. The good thing is in the latest, if you are using the Eclipse ID in the latest Eclipse, when you install it, Java is also installed automatically. Okay, so it saves you from installing Java by manually. So just when you have this configured, you need to make sure that Java is configured properly. So for that, just run this command like java hyphen version. It will show the current version which is installed on your system. If it does not, maybe you have to go back and check if some step is missing. Okay. Okay, so once we have the IDE ready and once we have Java installed, next thing is we need to create a project. Okay, and I recommend that you create a Maven project. So I'll just show like how to create a Maven project roughly. Okay. Okay. So okay. So I hope the screen is visible. So we have to go to this file new and create a project, and we have to select a Maven project under Maven. Okay, just go next. Okay, so I'm going to type here Maven type quick start. So Maven provides a ton of catalogs kind of for building your project. Okay, so if you are a fresher and if you are building a new project, I suggest that you use this catalog. Okay, to go with this last one. So you have to give an artifact ID. This is going to be a project name. So I'm just giving it as a demo project. And this is going to be your package. Okay. Click on finish. So you see that this project is created over here. Okay. So it will have like many folders and all. For now, you just need to know about this form.xml file. Okay, so we are going to add some dependencies over here. Okay, So let me get back to the presentation. Okay, so the next step is to add a few dependencies in that form.xml file. Okay, so there will be three dependencies. One will be Selenium HQ. The second one will be the test.ng dependency, and the third one will be the WebDriver dependency. Now, these dependencies you can get from mvnrepository.com. Okay, so this is just in brief, like how to set it up. Like if you are creating your first project. Okay, so once we have all the setup ready, the next thing that we need to know about is how do we interact with the elements on a web page. Okay. Uh, okay, first thing, like when you visit any website, okay, all the images or text or input fields or maybe any buttons that you are going to see on that web page are all going to be referred as web elements of that page. Like in order for your script to interact with these web elements, like all these buttons and text field, Selenium has provided a list of locator strategies that act as a set of instructions that tells Selenium like how to find and manipulate these elements. Once you have the locator, you actually need an action to be performed on that web element. So this is like which you see on the screen on the left hand side, it's the locator, and the right hand side we specify the action you are going to perform on that web element. Now the action depends on the nature of the web element you are trying to access. The one example which you see on the screen right now is an locator for an input field. So you can imagine any input field such as the search box or a field to input address maybe. So when you have an input field, naturally you are going to type something in it, right? So we use this send keys function over here. So when this specific line of code will execute, Selenium will access this input field and type the keys Selenium HQ in. Similarly, if there is a button, you can use a click action on it and so on. So now we'll try to look into each of the locator strategies one by one. So the first one will be the ID. Okay, so if you basically this locator finds elements based on their unique ID attributes. Okay, so on the screen you see this search page of Google. Okay, so on below what you see is an XML tag actually for that search box. Okay, so if you right click on that search field and say inspect, you will be able to see this. Okay, so if we closely observe this tag, it's a text area tag and it has many attributes to it like class, JS action, ID, max length, name, and so on. Okay, so when we talk about ID, we are actually referring to the ID attribute of it. Okay, which you see over here. Okay, so that is one way of uniquely identifying the element because IDs, as we know, are unique for each element. Okay, like similar to ID, there is a name attribute. Okay, so again, you will see another attribute called as a name. In this case, it is Q. Okay, so with the help of this, you can access the element. The next one is the XPath locator. XPath is another powerful locator that uses path expression to navigate XML structure of a web page. It allows you to traverse the entire document and select element based on attributes, relationships, or hierarchical position. The next one is CSS locator. A CSS locator is very similar to XPath locator. I mean, if you look at the syntax, it will be almost exactly same to the XPath. In the XPath, we had these slashes and at the rate symbols, but just remove those symbols from the locator and it will be a CSS locator. I mean, this is not the only way to write a CSS locator, but this is one of the way to write these locators. Okay, the next one is a class name locator. Okay, so Again, in the list of attributes for this text area, you will see an attribute class. So you can give that class name value to it to access that element. We can also access an element with the help of the tag name. Like think of a scenario wherein you want to access all the hyperlinks on a page. Like all the hyperlinks will have an tag as a, similar to what we have like here text area that will have an a tag. Okay, so if you want to access all those elements with the help of a tag name, you can do this. Okay, the next one is the link text. This locator finds elements based on the text within the link. It's used when you want to interact with similar links on a page. Okay, so here you can see an example where this of Facebook, where there is text forgot password. Okay, so if we inspect that element, there is a text contained inside of it, like forgot password. So we can use this text to access this element. The last one is the partial link text. This is very similar to the last one which we saw, that was the link text. Okay, but this locator finds links based on a partial match instead of a full match. It's helpful when the complete link or text is too long or dynamic. Like you may have some text which is dynamic, right? When you log in a site, say suppose there is a message sometimes like welcome Sam or welcome your name, right? So the part of the text is always changing. So in that case, you cannot give the full text. Okay, so in that case, partial link text is very helpful.
So let's move to next topic, that is frameworks. So basically, what is a framework? A framework basically a set of rules that can follow a systematic way to achieve the desired result. Okay. So in a simple language, framework is a code structure that makes the code maintenance easy and efficient. Right. So there are different frameworks available in automations. So some of them I have listed down over here. So you can see like first one is a modular testing framework. So in this, user creates the test scripts module wise by breaking down the complete application under test into smaller independent tests, right? So the main reason for using this framework is to build an abstraction layer to safeguard the master module from any changes made in individual test, right? So the second is the data-driven framework, right? So this data-driven framework is like one of the most popular framework in Selenium. So it involves separating test data sets from the test cases. Okay, so the main purpose of this separation process is to enable developers to modify test cases for any particular functionality without changing the code or disturbing the data sets. The next framework is the keyword-driven framework. So the name suggests the primary objective of this keyword-driven framework in Selenium is to accelerate the automated testing by separating the keywords. Okay, so the keywords are strategically segregated for a common set of functions and instructions. The instructions that are to be performed are specified in a separate external file like Excel sheet and all. The best part is that developers have all the control when it comes to specifying the functionality that are to be tested. Next is the hybrid framework. So in very simple word, hybrid framework is basically a combination of both data-driven framework as well as keyword-driven framework. And the last is behavior-driven framework. So it is also known as BDD framework. So the BDD framework is to create the platform that allows everyone to participate actively, such as business analysts, developers, testers, etc. So it basically requires increased collaboration between the development and the testing. So it doesn't require any, it doesn't require the user to be familiar with the programming language and all. Right. So the next is handling alerts and the multiple windows. So alerts are basically in Selenium are the type of pop-up window that can be used to display the information or to ask user inputs. So basically, there are three types of alerts. The first one is simple alert, then the prompt alert, and the confirmation alert, as you can see on the screen. So the simple alert basically displays the message and a single button, usually labeled as OK. The prompt alert basically displays the message along with that two buttons labeled as OK and cancel. And similarly, for the confirmation alert, displays the message and two buttons labeled as yes or no. So how to handle these alerts now? So these are some of the methods that you guys can use. And one example that I have given is driver.switch2.alert.accept. Okay, so accept is basically to click on the yes button. Dismiss is to click on the cancel button. And if you want to send any data stuff to any input field, then you can use send keys. And if you want to fetch anything from the alert, then simply you can use get text method. Right. So next is the handling windows, multiple windows. So in Selenium, multiple windows refers to the ability to open multiple browser windows or tabs within a single Selenium session. So this can be helpful for variety of tasks, such as testing different scenarios or comparing different version of this website. Okay. So as you can see, like one main window is there and there is another window overlapping the main window. So to handle such kind of windows, like you can use get window handles method. So you can check out my example, like I have created one array list of string type named as tab, and I'm just writing the command as driver.get window handles. So basically it will get, it will list down, it will return the list of all open windows. Okay. And switching to the child window, you have to use driver dot switch to dot windows, and in that you can just give the index ID. Okay, so the next is the test execution and reporting part. So this I will show you the demo. Okay, so I have created one Maven project for this session. In that, I have used the data-driven framework along with the page object model. So this is how it looks actually. Okay, so I have defined many packages. As you can see, the first package is the action driver. Okay, wherein I'm creating one action file. So basically in this file, I am writing all my reusable code. Okay, the next is the base package. So in base package, one file is that called base class.java. So the initial steps I'm writing in this base class, that is like opening of a browser and hitting the URL. Next is the page object file. So page objects, I'm writing all those locators and function in this package, page object package. The next is the utility package, wherein I'm writing all those one-time configurations file, like for example, this data provider, then extend manager and all. to configure the extend report. So the next is SRC test Java. So under this, like you can see, I'm writing my actual test cases. The next is src/test/resources, wherein I am keeping my test data. Then the configurations folder, wherein I'm keeping my config.property file. So in this file, basically, I'm keeping my URL of the project. Then any credentials are there. Then that credential I'm defining in this file. Then which browser to open, that browser name I'm giving over here. Then you can see like extend folder is there. So basically after the suite is done running, automatically the report will be generated on this particular folder. Then the screenshot folder is there. Say suppose any test case is getting failed, then Selenium will automatically capture the screenshot of that particular step, and it will put it in this folder, as well as it will show in the extend report. So the next is the very important file is pom.xml, wherein I'm defining all the dependencies over here. And the last is the testng.xml. So this is very important file, wherein I'm defining all the test suite. So basically how to run different test cases in this automation now. So this file plays a very important role, that is testng.xml. So you just have to define all the test suite over here, and just say right click and run as testng. Okay, so one by one it will execute. So the execution flow, basically it will come over here. It will execute all the test cases mentioned in these files. So let's go to this file, that is login page test.java. So once the flow is here, I have written the annotation is before method. So before executing the test, it will open the browser and it will hit the project URL. That is that code I have written over here. Then your actual test cases will be executed. Okay. Now you just see this line of code over here, but actual code is somewhere else. Okay. So that you can see simply by clicking, simply by pressing Control, and yeah, you can open this declaration thing. So the flow goes to over here in the page object package under this login page. Okay, so this will execute. Okay, so basically how to define this page object class. So there is a proper format. The format that we use is the page factory method, wherein first you have to create this class, then you have to write the constructor, followed by the all your locators. Okay, so as you can see, all these are my locators, and followed by the different functions. Now this function is to enter the username. Okay, so my second function is to enter the password. So again, it will go in this page object file and it will enter the password. Okay, so like this way, it will execute one by one each test cases. It will come again over here and it will execute the test cases from the next test suite. Okay, so let's just run the test case. So the browser started and it is starting with the test cases now. It will execute one by one all the test cases that I have given. So one by one it is executing. And you can see 3 test cases are run, 2 passed, 1 failed. Okay, So you can simply go in the extend report folder. The report is generated. So simply right click, open with the system editor. So in the browser, like you can see the report. Okay, so this is basically the extend report wherein like you can see the start date of the execution along with the time, then end date, then how many test cases got passed, how many got failed. Then it will show in a nice pie chart way, pie chart format. Then it will also show the timeline, like which test case took how much time to execute and all. So along with that, you can see like which test cases got passed along with the all the logs and all everything. Okay, and you can see like which test case got failed, and it will show the same test failed step. Okay, that screenshot along with the exception, it will give why that particular thing got failed.
I hope you all have got the required knowledge on Selenium, and we have provided the required information. I would like to thank you all for joining the webinar today. Have a great day.